So you got to do a fish song as a character.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh man. So I have to think of somebody.
You actually have to
doing-
do an impression.
Let me think who I can do. The woman was a dream I had, though rather hard to keep. For when my eyes were watching hers, they closed, and I was still asleep. For when my hands were holding hers,
William
she was-
Shatner.
I was gonna
No?
say that.
Is it Billy Shatner?
No, it was
Oh.
supposed to be
Wait.
Sean Connery.
It was more like one of the Rat Pack guys than Sean Connery. It was either William Shatner or like,
It would have been a terrible William Shatner impression, but at least
but it was an even worse Sean Connery.
Yo, welcome back to Wook Plus. Who is that? Llama fucking with the video on the top?
What's the bed?
I think
Wasn't
it was
me.
Kev. How you doing, guys?
I was trying to fix the dumb problem. I'm all right. How are
you were the
doing?
dumb problem, Kev.
That's what it You're the man now, dog. That was some good Sean Connery, buddy.
The Empire's always in peril.
Oh god, you have a meeting. You're like, we're gonna plan out all this great shit, figure out this awesome content. We just listen to you try to do impressions for 40 minutes.
Never gets old.
Oh man,
It never
It's
gets better either.
that's one of those things that I don't think anyone else is really gonna like, but it cracks me the fuck up. So we're just gonna keep doing it.
So thank you, world. There you go.
Great.
Well,
My small contribution.
I'm really stoked to be back with season 5 of Live. We're on fire this year. I'm really excited about everything we have going with this channel. If you're new to the channel, now would be a great time, actually the best time, to go ahead and subscribe. You know, it's fine. We can wait for you. Just find the little subscribe button, do that. Hit the bell too, so you get all the notifications.
Ring that bell.
Yeah, we got a fun show tonight, I think. Mike, so those of you who don't know, our guest tonight's Mike Finoia. He's been on the show, on the channel in the past. Awesome head, funny ass comedian, co-host of the Wookiee award-winning Comes a Time podcast. Great guy, but a really fun guest to talk to. Did you guys need anything to go over before we bring him in? I'm kind of really excited to get started. And
I can't believe we're back already. It
it's
feels
nuts.
like-
Yeah, well, it was supposed to be later, but we couldn't resist.
But why wait?
I just wanted to let everybody know also, if you're watching, go back and check out our Playing in the Sand recaps. We did a really good job going through the Goose Show and the 3 Dead and Company shows.
You did a great job, Kev.
We did.
Yeah, you know how that translates. He's like, I did a phenomenal job. These guys were weighing me
No,
down.
no.
I had witty questions. I was the best co-host in the history of show recaps.
No,
Last night was fun though. I will say, bringing the kids on was fun. Added a little energy, a little different takes. That was good. It was good.
and got to ask them some deeper questions just to show everyone that, you know, us
right.
old noobs appreciate the new noobs.
That's right. Old noobs. I love it.
All right. Let's bring Mike on.
Let's do it.
Mike's not old, Mike is an old noob.
Well,
Old noob. I love that. I don't know if you can hear me back here, but I was cracking up at that.
So how you been, Mike? What you been up to?
Dude, it's great to see you guys, man. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, this is really awesome. I'm glad you were our first guest of season 5. It's like
Season
full circle.
5, dude.
Lucky
Yeah.
Season 5. You were telling me earlier that you coming on Amigos was the first podcast you ever did.
Yeah, it was the first time I got a taste of this kind of content, and my wife is thrilled about it. You know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because after
Say no
that, I
more.
was like, you know what? I think I want to do this shit. And now I've, interviewed hundreds of different guests, and we've done thousands of hours of content. And It's all because of you, Mike.
Yeah. You're welcome, Mrs. Wook.
Yeah, she's thrilled.
It's addicting. Well, you've done a fantastic job, and I mean, my like initial love of you was that the brackets, dude. I would stay up at night, like just watching the scores come up, and I'm like pissed off, like screaming at myself, like screaming at the people voting, but I'm like, what's wrong with these people?
How could anyone vote for the line?
Wait, I remember. I think you said you were a Susie stan, right? You were pushing hard for Susie.
That's my song. It's yeah. You know,
You
the
and
other day, the other day I was listening to one of my favorite shows, one of Darien Lake 2000, that Okie Pa Susie to end the first set. That was just the best, and it reminded me of like how things had changed. I remember like leaving that show and finding a payphone to call my buddy to tell him the set. Like, because that was like he couldn't find it himself. There was no fish on the road. There was no nothing. I had to call and be like, bro, fucking Okie Pa Susie, Punch Reba, Drown, Cross. I just like Albuquerque, like just going nuts on this payphone.
You're throwing in your loose change.
Did you have a chinger?
A
You know what a
chinger?
chinger? Yeah, it was you.
Oh, is
could
that
build
on a
this
string?
thing- No, you build this thing at Radio Shack, and you held it up to the phone, and it made the noises that sounded like coins, and it would give you free time.
Oh wow, what a grift! No, I never have.
They were big on the lot on Dead Lot back in the late '80s, early '90s. Yeah.
Kev is the original Wook. He's like,
He really is. That's great. If I get a time machine, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back and get one of those.
You know, they needed like the Dead had 1-900 Dead, and they didn't run it, but somebody had that 1-900 Dead number that you used to call and pay $1, and you're like, talk faster, dude, talk faster. They made it like 2 minutes and 3 seconds, so you had to pay the.
That's so cool. Yeah.
speaking of time machines, that New Year's gag was pretty
Nice
wild.
segue, dude. Yeah.
Smooth.
Yeah,
man.
you
Butter
like
right there. Butter.
Speaking
I've
of
come a long
time
way
machines.
since being on Amigos, man.
You have. I'm very proud of you. You were pinching your leg. You're like, come on. Where's the pause so I can throw this in?
Yeah. So the
Gag.
whole theme this year is Fish 40, right? And this like retrospective, nostalgic, feel good, heads hanging out, thinking about all their fond memories of the band and everything. And it's kind of a perfect, and this, I get it. This is kind of typically like maybe a little cheesy way to go, but I think this is an appropriate setup to get into what your favorite memory, fish memory is.
Just that question.
I know. You want to talk about something else while you think about it? We can stay here
Yeah,
in an awkward
You know
silence.
yeah, that would be weird, huh? You know what I would like to. Okay, let me think about it, because I mean my initial, right off the bat, my initial thought is Clifford Ball, like the first notes of Chalk Dust at Clifford Ball was because like that to me was the it's like, holy shit, like this is real. That was my second show.
Holy shit.
Yeah, New Haven 95 was my first. The one that the live fish that just came out, the 12/2/95, that was my first show. But Clifford Ball was something else, man. I mean, it was just like it was just so weird because it was like a whole town of us. Like they built us a friggin' town, dude, and it was so fun and like
I remember standing at we were taping. I was standing at the tapers. I turned around during Divided Sky and looked at all those people, and I was like, we are many. Look how many fucking people showed up to see Fish. I mean,
dude, the sound was so crisp, and I'm a huge fan of that 96. Like I've realized that I like eras of Fish based on Trey's tone. Like I love certain years based on like the 98 loops and the 99 and the funk in 97, but that Billy Breathes album, like it sounded almost like a spaceship on Mars, like their jams, like the way that Free would like it would just had these weird, like, and he's playing the second kit. It just had such a unique sound, and it matched perfectly with the outdoor grandness of it all, and it just hit so hard. And it was 2 days 3 sets each day, it felt like a week and a half when I was there. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it was the
Did
first
you
time-
sleep at all? Or were you just riding
Uh,
high the whole time?
I was pretty. I don't think if I slept, it was like in a lawn chair for like an hour,
Yeah.
and then
I slept during the symphony. I went in and laid in the
that's
field
actually
and slept
maybe-
during the symphony.
I did go in during the symphony and kind of. But you know what it was? It was. I mean, I was freaking 16.
Right. When you were young, you
17?
could go forever. You didn't
And
need
the
as much
energy,
sleep.
dude, it was fucking, I was like living off like, we took like a couple 30 packs of like Miller High Life from my buddy's
Fancy.
garage, because his dad would just leave 30 packs in the garage. So we went up with, this is how young we are. We had like probably like an ounce of bud. I wouldn't even call it bud. It was dirty crap weed from 1996.
Of course,
Brick
yeah.
weed.
But we didn't even smoke it the whole way up. We had it in a backpack underneath. Like that's how young we were. So like, oh, we're here. Let's roll joints. It was like, well, why didn't we smoke the whole time? Looking back.
Well, also because you're like, don't waste it all. Like if we run out, we can't run out for 2 days. You gotta save it. So
Dude, it was so, what was crazy about that too was like actually seeing people that we knew that we didn't know were there.
Mhm.
And it was like, where are you camped? Where are you camped? And we would go check out their spot, because it was the first time any of us really experienced anything like that, where it's like, oh, this is, we could just go wherever we want. Like, it was almost kind of a weird, like, so what can we do? What can't we do? You know what I mean? Like by Lemon Wheel and Oswego and Cypress. And it was like, yeah, this is our fuck,
It's legal as long as you don't get caught.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Well, there's
right?
a whole different culture and climate though at festivals though. Like it's privilege, and I don't want to get all like serious about it, but it's privilege like injected times 1,000, right? Like you can literally walk around with the blunt in your hand, and as long as you're not being an asshole, like nobody's gonna fuck with you, right? Like, and
yeah.
I don't know. There's something freeing about it though, like to be able to like just be with like-minded people enjoying a similar thing and not have to worry about all that shit.
Well, plus festivals in the 90s and late mid 90s were a lot different than today.
You want to know what because the thing I think about too with all of it is we appreciated it a lot more because you couldn't text someone and go like, hey, I'm over near the Ben and Jerry's stand.
They had the board.
You just there was one message board. You would go like, Dave, we're near the radio tower at 1, and that was it. That's how you connected with people. Or you just didn't.
You wouldn't even put their last name. You'd put Dave.
Dave, yeah, and then somehow.
And
so there was a thing about just like it was almost like so big and so exciting and so safe and so fun that it was just like one high after the other. Like it was like when the lights went down, you're like, holy fucking shit. Like this is a circus. Like we're living in a fair, and there's Ferris wheels, and there's, got music everywhere and drum circles and the whole, like it was the literal foundation of what made the festivals Bonnaroo and all of them.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too. Is back then too, you didn't have 5 different festivals to hit this summer and stuff. It was literally like that one, like the first, like that, or like one
Where
other,
they were small,
or the
local
vibes,
ones.
gather into the vibes or something,
right, or something
yeah.
like that. It wasn't like now you have 10 festivals all over, like even more than that all summer long.
It's hard to keep track of them now. I mean,
I know.
Summer, they have festivals from January 1st to December 31st. It seems.
I
saw
think, a lot of these things are like 3-day thing that aren't even real festivals, but it's 3 days of different bands that are just playing on the beach and like different things everywhere. Like there's a ton of those now, and it's gotten so saturated.
I kind of like I miss the old days of like the Berk Fest, the Berkshire Mountain Music Fest, where it was just like a tiny little, Soul Live was headlining, Medeski and Schofield were headlining. Like it was just a nice little chill, small fest.
I like the small festivals a lot, the small local ones. And I'm in outside of Philly. There's a lot from Maryland up to like New York State and through Pennsylvania. There's a ton of those small festivals. I mean, aside from like Fish or like seeing Fish at like Lock-In or Denico or something, like I really prefer those small ones because it kind of has that older vibe to it.
I went to the first Bonnaroo, and that was the only one I went to. And Tab and Panic headlined, and it was when Tab was just like everything they did was like a fucking firework finale. You know what I mean? Like a 20-minute push on till the day. And I mean,
30-minute Mr. Completely.
oh,
And that's
God,
your
the
set.
best. That was it. Yeah. Mo late night on some hill with like one of the best sets of music ever. Like Ween, shit, dude, like Bela Fleck. It was such like a hippie, but it was massive. It's friggin' massive, like huge. And I've always kind of been I don't know. I that's why I love Watkins Glen. I wish they would do like Watkins Glen. I think the last 2 years or something, that didn't they like keep it down to like 30,000 people or something like that? Like they made it manageable where it wasn't like, lines for it. Like it got too big for a minute.
Do you think Fish is going to do a festival ever again?
Oh man, I wish. I'll tell you, like there's all talk about, the residency at the Garden again and stuff. I wish they would just do like the month of July at Watkins Glen. I mean, just set up and just take a couple days off, like in between, like 2 days off in between each chunk to like replenish the food and water and whatever.
The turbidity or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Turbidity.
totally.
Say
like
turbidity one more time.
Yeah.
Taste the turbidity.
I think it would be kind of like great to do I know that there was like during the pandemic, I thought there were thoughts of going and doing outdoor like 3 days here, 4 days here.
Which they kind of have without all the fanfare because they've done the Deer Creek run. Well, yeah, like I don't call them residencies. That's a ongoing argument Kev and I have. But
what constitutes a residency?
Well,
a resident? No, Kev. Okay. No, I'm going to lay it out here. 3 or 4 nights is a run. Yeah. 1 or 2 nights is a show or a pair of shows. 3 or 4 is a run. Over 4 is a residency. So if you do 5 or more, it's a residency. I distinguish between a run and a residency because if every 4-night run or 3-night run was a residency, there would be like 20 fucking residencies every year. There'd be the Dick's residency, the Deer Creek residency, the AC residency. Like that's every fucking venue they go to, they do 3 shows.
More than that, though, I feel like residencies are like in Vegas, where like Celine's in Vegas at Caesars for like 2 months or 3 months or something. Like,
the Almonds at the Beacon, was that a residency?
Yeah. That's the residency.
The residency. Yeah. So I mean, that's and how many? Yeah, I mean, so yeah.
What I am
the
referring
would do
to
8 or 9 nights at
Yeah, like Winterland or something, and then. Yeah.
What I'm referring to is what I call the widespread model. We play 3 or 4 nights in Nashville, a couple months later, 3 or 4 nights in DC. I think that's the ultimate model that a lot of these bands should strive for.
But that's also the Fish model. That's what they've been doing for like the last 10 years.
Fish likes to do whole tours. Widespread will play a weekend
of runs, though. Every venue they go to, they're there for 3 or 4 nights.
You're not hearing what I'm saying.
I knew I always liked Chad.
Once a month for 3 nights. Once a month for 3 nights. Not a whole tour, playing 3 nights, then 2 nights, then 3 nights.
So you want to see less Fish?
No, I want to see him play 12. I want to see him play 12 times a year in different places.
I want him to play 40 times a year.
12 times a year at times like 3 different.
Yeah.
So all right. Yeah.
Across the U.S., like start on the West Coast, then kind of move to like the Midwest, and then end up on the East Coast type thing.
Would you like a month at Watkins Glen?
Right.
Sure. I don't know. I don't think I could live outside for a month at Watkins Glen.
Well, what about this? So wait. All right. Let me ask you guys this then.
I need an RV.
What are your thoughts about? Is it going to be 16 at the Garden this summer, or is it going to be 23 and 23? Because those are the 2 things I've heard.
So we've actually been getting a shit ton of people sending us information, and at first it was really exciting because it was like a lot of like people I trusted, and then we had this video go out and a bunch of people commented, and all of a sudden it kind of got inundated with bullshit. So now it's not to make an excuse, but it's kind of super foggy to me. You know what I mean? Like I have a information overload of people just like, and I don't know what's legit and what's bullshit.
Well,
I think 16 makes the most sense as a single residency, but I wouldn't be surprised if they ended up at 23. With like a New Year's run and like another small little.
Oh yeah, at the end of the year.
Right, but I can't see them doing 23 in a row because I happened to do all 13 of the Baker's Dozen, and I got to say by like night 11, I was fucking done. like
By night 11, yeah.
9/11. I know.
By night 11,
I'm
it was
looking at
all over.
Night 3, night 4. I'm like,
I couldn't even stand up.
It was
for
done
half the
second set
show.
every night. It was
So-
fucking rough.
Well, I like what you said, Tim, though, about the theory that it's the Sphere that they signed the contract and the residency for, and we aren't going to see that till probably next year.
Yeah, well, so the only concrete information, concrete, but the only thing that I felt really confident about was that a contract was signed with MSG Entertainment. Everybody was agreed that a contract was signed with MSG Entertainment. All the other details varied based on sources. Oh, it was New York, it was Vegas, it was this year, it was next year. So there is a very distinct possibility, I think, that they play the Sphere either at the end of this year or next year. I kind of like the idea of it lining up in December, though.
I heard from somebody that the reason nobody knew about Spring Tour, that it was so hush hush, is because they did it real quick in order to be outside of the summer bumpers that MSG put on the contract where they couldn't play other shows. And that's why none of it was leaked before, because they just rushed to
And
get
they
it
knew
done.
the fucking West Coasters were going to bitch and scream and moan and shit.
Well, and also, if you think about that little early summer run where they like dropped like Mercury and other shit a couple of years ago, I think they're using this I think this little spring run solidifies the fact that they're going to do something big in the summer because they want to release new songs on this 8. Watch how many new songs drop during this 8-show run or whatever, this, West Coast run. I bet you they drop a couple new things that will grow and expand while they're doing this.
They were songwriting.
Yeah, Trey and Tom were last weekend. We're at the beach. So
They were in
a lot of new
Annapolis,
stuff.
Maryland. I got information it was Annapolis, Maryland is where they were.
who said that? They were in Annapolis.
Somebody had a picture. Their buddy lives there, and a picture this guy took in his buddy's backyard was exactly what you saw in the picture with
Those
Tom
are the kind
and
of sources we're
Trey.
basing our channel on, Mike. You see this shit?
if you look closely, Bigfoot was walking across the.
Why don't we see Bigfoot ever? Everybody has a cell phone. You figure there'd be tons more
Always
Bigfoot
blurry. What do you mean? We
Ah.
always see him. It's just blurry, just like Loch Ness. It's just you can't get him in focus because he's so fast.
We can have a bunch of wooks on a live stream in perfect HD, but we can't get a crisp
Yeah.
picture of Bigfoot.
The Wook Ness monster.
Wook ness.
Monster. Exactly.
That's a good one.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just think that watch this run is it's gonna mimic like that run that started in Oregon before.
Yeah,
It's
I
gonna
think-
That's interesting. That's a good theory. I like that. Because
I think it's going to be a fire run too. Because honestly, like spring last year in New York, coming out of Mexico, and it wasn't too long of a time off. They were on fire. They played super well. I think it. I think it's a really good timing.
Recent history of the West Coast run from 21 was that whole tour was fantastic. So I'm hoping some of that is back as well. And there's a little bit of that energy still.
And I was thinking about that too. Those 4 April shows at the Garden. I think, and I can't speak for anybody really but me, but that was, I think, my first indoor show back since COVID. I think. I can't say for sure because my memory's shot. But I went to a ton of outdoor shit. Tons and tons and tons of outdoor shit. But that might have been my first indoor concert back.
We got annihilated. All of us went. Like the whole Alama wasn't there, but T, Kevin, and we got fucking annihilated sickness wise from that run.
Yeah,
I don't think it was the Garden though. I love Pete, so I don't want to like call him, but that motherfucking fan art show in the Hotel Penn or whatever. I think that's what was the super.
I think
spreader of it.
95% of the people that were there got it.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of
kind
people
of where it
sick
started.
after, but the energy during the show. My point is, I'm wondering if other people were like, "This is my first indoor fish show back," because the energy was like
Off the chart.
oh my god, it was fire. I mean, everybody was just off the walls
Ready.
during that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I think I went to what AC otherwise, like that personally, but
Yeah,
it was
we
all.
spent all our time in a casino getting COVID in the casino.
Fucking
I-
casinos.
I like
hate
AC
'em.
though, man. The last 2 years they've been some really fun runs. I mean, I know it's dirty. It's like
No, it's
whatever.
great.
It's like the dirty cheap
Just don't walk
Mexico
one
and
block.
the cheap Halloween combined, right? You get like the dirty casinos and the dirty Mexico combine it, but I've had a blast the last 2 years in AC.
I was on a I did one of them like during when they were like pandemic, whatever that year was, I forget. Again,
It all
it's
blends together. It doesn't matter.
The super pandemic-y AC run. I went to one solo and I kind of just like meandered around near the water, and I was on like a pretty decent little chunk of mushroom chocolate, and I was looking up and I'm like, how beautiful. Look at the birds flying around, and this is gorgeous, and the water on my feet. And then I remembered I'm in AC, and I'm like, these are just fucking seagulls. These are like flying rats.
Right. And there's probably a syringe in the
needles.
sand, and I gotta be
And the
careful.
water that everybody
took
was
me like-
pissing in.
Yes,
Everybody
dude,
was
that was the thing. Someone was pissing on my foot. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I'm like, fucking, this is gross. It's like David Tell's joke. If you step on something in off the coast of Atlantic City, it's not coral, it's evidence. I puked in the ocean that year, she wrote. That's
Yeah.
great. That was what I felt. in
right
my
on your
nose.
feet, and you're just like,
Yeah.
isn't this great?
I was like, this is beautiful. That's what the pandemic made me real. Like Atlantic City was like I was in fucking Bora Bora or something. I
I'm
was happy to
wondering
be
if
there.
I'm wondering if this year there might be a slight pullback, and maybe I'm just like projecting my own experience. But the last 2 years, I went super hard, like with tour and everything, because of the FOMO and like the itch from being indoors for like a year and a half or 2 years. So as soon as they came back, I got like literally as many shows as I could get. I squeezed in, and then finally after like Dick's this past year, I was like, all right, I'm caught up now. Like I'm back to like a status quo, and now I don't feel the itch to see 20 shows this year. Like and I'm wondering if that's how everybody's gonna feel, where it's kind of like the third year back, that energy coming out of the pandemic might have been gone, and it'll go back to like a more mild tempered tour. Or
Well,
maybe everybody else is still gung ho,
and
and
the
it's
cost.
just me.
The cost has
money.
gone up so much.
And with
everything is so
inflation and
expensive.
shit, I
Well,
told
and
Mama
right
we're not-
now, right now we have RSV, we have COVID, and we have flu. We have the turducken of diseases. So you
And I
don't
will
really.
say on that note too, both times recently that I've gone to MSG, I've got COVID. We got it in April, and then I just got it at the New Year's run again. So like I'm all up for avoiding the East Coast for a while as far as tour goes. I made it all through 21 through
You can
Sacramento,
get
San
sick
Francisco,
in the
all of
fucking West
California.
Coast.
Nothing. I was fine.
That's
all
why
the
I'm
whole-
saying move the MSG fucking run to a field in upstate New York. And just
Exactly.
Great.
fest it
Get us
out, man.
outdoors and like quit putting all its wooks together and
Also, then we could make some money. Like, imagine if people can like set up camp and make fucking money and do like
And
you
have a
know,
legit
The
like,
general store,
shakedown
you'd have your
and,
little
like,
general
selling-
store guy set up.
yeah.
The casino that's
Instead of giving it to friggin' Pat LaFreda, it gets
It's
all
like a
our money
mo-
for fucking sandwiches
a-
and shit.
like a mining town.
Look, I love New York. I'm it's amazing. But if I was living in wherever and they announced fucking 16, I'd be so pissed.
Yeah,
I
I gotta
be
s-
there. People be like, I think I should go home and feed my dog.
Dude, it's so expensive and it's not fun to like. I mean, New York hotels aren't great. What the fuck?
Yeah.
You look out your window and you're looking at the roof of another building.
and it's a
You're looking
separate
at someone
closet, like,
burning
you can barely
evidence.
get around your bed to the bathroom. Like, it's
Yeah, man. Totally.
I had a really bad experience the last night of the April run. Like the first 3 nights were fantastic, the whales and everything. And I was on a head full the last night, and I don't know why, but all of a sudden I realized how dirty everything was. You know what I mean? Like the whole run, I was just raging, having a great time, and then I was looking around, and it was like the garbage everywhere, and the rats everywhere, and the bug, and just like the filth. And I went into the hotel, and I saw some slime on the hotel, like the numbers next to your
Yeah.
door. There was, I don't even know what it was, but there's something dripping off the number, and I was just
your
like,
head. It was
all right. It might not actually, but I had to get out of there. And I don't know, like MSG's the venue I've seen the most shows at, and I've always been the stan. Like I love it. I always sing its praises, but I'm kind of done. Like I need a break from that kind of city fish. Like I want field fish. I want, grass and clouds.
That's what I'm talking about. But
You're honestly, you're a
but I-
fucking genius, Mike.
I know, but I don't want amphitheater fish. I don't want 35 nights at, I'll tell you what really bugged me this summer, and I didn't do a ton this summer. I had to get back to work too, you know. And that's the bummer about doing stand up is we work the same hours as concerts. But you know, Great Woods and Hartford were the ones I hit, and man, everyone was talking, people puking. I mean, it was a mess. Like at Great Woods, it was just like the guy behind me was just throwing up the entire fucking show. And it was like splashing on my buddy's calves.
Oh
So
God.
It was like
his
AC.
buddy was calling my buddy calves because he turned around and he was like, it hit my calves. He's like, all right, calves, turn around, calves. And I was like, whoa, this is getting a little aggro here. But the whole show was just phones and noise. And I mean, but I don't know, like at a festival, at a night, man, even Randall's Island was nice because it's just that nice. Just you could find your little pockets and escape or get nice and deep in, and you do what you want, you know.
Hartford was super aggressive. Like I like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, and
It
like
was
the
300% humidity that day too. It was the hottest day of the...
super fucking hot, super humid, and like just like that New Yorker, like Connecticut attitude. Everybody's wearing it on their shoulder, like on their sleeves. I don't know. I've never been to and I had a great time, by the way. Like my crew had a blast. It was a great show. I don't want to talk shit about it, but like I've never seen so much aggression at like a hippie show in my life. I was like, you wouldn't believe that it was a Fish concert when you were in the lot because of how aggressive and like how much attitude people had walking around.
That lot has a lot of history as being a very aggressive lot. I don't know if you're familiar with the Dave
There's broken
Matthews
glass everywhere and shit. And
yeah,
like
but do you know
rocks.
about like in the 90s the Dave Matthews lot situation that went on there? There was like Dave Matthews was banned from there for a while because there were straight up like glass bottle wars, like people like setting up on either side and just launching bottles.
Connecticut, huh?
Cars getting flipped and like set on fire. Like all types of crazy shit was going on there. I saw a guy run over to a cop and go like, my buddy's in trouble over there. And the cop just goes, take a number, kid. And he like literally a guy like blew off an M80 in his hand. And like his hand was, it was disgusting. It was a complete mess.
Right.
And it was a mess. Yeah, it was terrible. But that lot is also one of my favorites. I don't know.
It was also a lot of fucking fun.
Of course.
Dude, I've lost my mind in that lot.
I want to pivot a little bit here, although we're having fun. I do want to hit on Comes a Time because I caught right from the beginning when you guys started this podcast. I felt like there was something special with it. You actually won the very first Wookie Award for Best Podcast.
I'll never forget that.
You got and honestly, I have never made a better call for an award in my life because the podcast is
Sorry, Scott.
Well, all right. That was probably a dick thing to say to the other Wookie Award winners. But no, honestly, your podcast has continued to grow and develop and get better and better.
Thanks.
And it's you have really profound conversations with some really profound guests. And I don't know if that's kind of like by design. Was there like a mission statement of like what kind of guests you want to get, or was it just kind of happenstance that like the connections that you and Oteil had, that you had these very intellectual and profound people?
Well, I appreciate you saying all that. And I think that the thing right off the bat was, you know, I had him on Amigos and we were shooting the shit before the pandemic and we were like, we should do a podcast together, but who has the time? And then the pandemic hit and we had the time. And then, and it was kind of, everyone was available. So that's why we got such amazing guests in the beginning, I think. Like how the hell, you know, like Bob Weir and Mountain Girl and Melvin Seals, I think were our first three. And it's like, what the fuck? Really? Like, this is like, I met Bob Weir on my laptop and I shut the laptop and now I'm just alone in my living room. Like, the fuck just happened? Like, is this real? You know? And, but I think the mission in the beginning, I think the thing that made it fun in the beginning was that we didn't have a mission for it. Like, it was just kind of like, let's talk to the people that we find interesting and see what makes them tick. And then Oteil said it once and it was just kind of, it branded into my brain, like how did we get here and where do we go from here? That's to me what I like to get at with every episode. So like we talk to people about kind of their path and then how they took what they've been handed or done, whatever, and then turned it and pivoted towards like what they've accomplished. Comics, musicians, psychiatrists, mental health specialists, fucking, you know, microdose instructor, you name it, like all the people we talk to. And the thing that's cool is like, it doesn't matter whether it's like, you know, someone who focuses on mental health or someone who focuses on comedy or somebody who focuses on music. It all ends up going in that path organically. Like we don't push it in that direction, but we've kind of, it's just people come on and automatically, I don't know, maybe people have like know what it's about now or whatever, but it just gets vulnerable quick.
Yeah,
And I
very
like
quickly.
that, you know what I mean? And I think like we had Lester Chambers on recently from the Chambers Brothers. And for people who don't know who they are, I didn't realize this was the band that made that
Time.
song called Time. Yeah, Time. It's like, it's been in probably every war movie and shit like that. Like it was a Vietnam, like whatever. But his story was like, he told us his upbringing. And it was just like, we were both just, our jaws were on the ground. We were like, I can't believe the fact that this guy lived this life. And he had to like escape. Him and his family, like little by little, would move their stuff into their car at night when the owner of like the plantation didn't know or couldn't hear him, and a storm hit and they pushed a car a quarter mile up a hill and then got in it and rolled down the hill with the lights off and shit, and then drove to California and started a new life over and like escaped slavery and stuff. And
Wow.
it's like, what the fuck? Like what? And this is like, he's telling us his story. He's like 80 something years old.
It's a bridge to another time that's a lot.
It's
like
history. Yeah.
Right.
It's like a living museum we're talking, you know, and it's just wild to be able to have that conversation. I thank Oteil so much for like the connections to the people that we've been able to chat with from the music side of things, and you know, just the interests and stuff that we both kind of believe in, that kind of, I don't know, that spirituality but not religion kind of thing, where it's like it obviously, and look, we're here because of music. Like we're all on this screen because of the music we love, right? And it's it'd be silly to say we don't believe in that stuff if we're jumping and screaming at a song, you know. So it's nice to be able to chat with these people who, you know, give us those moments and also kind of, you know, acknowledge and appreciate like the power that we all have, I guess.
I think putting a comedian and a professional musician together is a great combination, because when you distill it all down, it comes down to understanding the human condition and communication, right? And like the way, especially with improvisational music, I mean, really all music, but especially improvisational. And then with comedy, it's like you have to have a deep understanding of the human condition and connect with people on a level that I feel like the average layperson might not do on a day-to-day basis. So you and Oteil are well suited to connect with people like that, because that's part of your identity and your daily thing. You know what I mean? Like you're a head and a comedian. I don't know if that's how you see yourself, but that's how, you know, your public persona is like you're a comedian, you're a head, right? And like,
yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
right. And Oteil, I mean, the way he plays, and like, I don't know him as well as you do or whatever, but you could just tell when he's on stage and his connection with the music and the energy that he shares with the crowd and stuff. I think that sets up super well for a podcast. It allows those types of vulnerabilities to happen very quickly.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I'll tell you the thing, I think, I'm not proud. I don't like that word, but I think one thing I will give us a pat on the back for is we had to do this whole thing start to finish on Zoom. And it's hard to get a connection with people right away when they're in their living room or they're, you know, whose connection's shitty, and it's hard to read people. And I feel like somehow we figured out our rhythm, our Zoom rhythm or whatever, you know what I mean? Like we don't step on each other much. We don't, like, you know, we've developed a decent like rhythm with that part. And I think that's a testament to kind of like, just imagine how cool it would be if we could do it in person, you know, because we have plans to.
Has it become easier? Like for guests, do you feel like guests are more acclimated to being open in the Zoom environment after 2-3 years of doing it?
Yeah. And I also think that people are probably more open to being open when they're sitting in their friggin' house in their, you know, underwear, and they could You know what I mean? You're not in someone's
Yeah.
studio, and you're not like I had to, hold in a shit to get here and whatever.
Right.
Like you're fine. You're here. You're home, and
And
when
it's
you
a lot
shut it.
less invasive, or like you have a little camera on, as opposed to if you're doing an interview with cameras and like on a set or whatever, it's not nearly as intimidating or as scary or whatever, and you're just kind of you feel like you're hanging out
Yeah,
as it is anyway.
It's it and not to get like all
Oh,
heady
get
and
metaphysical.
spiritual
Go
and
ahead.
all that stuff. No, Oteil and I we met and it, like weirdly immediately got into heavy stuff, but not like good stuff. Like I had a really meta like a psychedelic experience, not on psychedelics, that I told him about. He told me about one, and it was just kind of like right away we got to that level, and it was like we were only supposed to do about a half hour, 40 minutes, and like 2.5 hours later we were like, I think we're brothers now, like it was like step brothers, like did we just become best friends? And it was just, he talked to me about how he on the road would listen to stand up, and all I'm doing when I'm not doing shows is listening to music. Like
the escape from your art into another art.
Exactly. So we kind of used each other's thing to help each other out during the off hours.
Does he listen to your stand up? Do you ever ask him?
I run him by some. I run some shit by him. You know what I mean? Like if I have, it's nice to sometimes get a perspective on a bit from a non-comic. You know what I mean? Because we're always helping each other out. Like if I'm sitting in the back of the room and I hear a comic do a bit and I can think of a tag for him or something that might work, I'll run over and be like, "Hey, I thought of a tag for you for that." But it's nice sometimes to just tell an appreciator of comedy a bit. Like I'll call him and be like, "Does this make any sense?" And I'll kind of like run a thought by him, and he'll kind of, I could tell. I think I know now his fake laughter. Like, and I know right
that's
away.
Great. That's so funny.
He's like, "Right on, brother." And I'm like, "Oh, that sucks. All right, I'm throwing that one out."
That's not hitting the stage.
That's not hitting the stage. Yeah, no, but it's neat, man. And I I feel like I got a big brother out of this too. And that's, not to be sappy, but he's a fucking incredible dude. And he's this was a strange couple years. And I think the thing that I need to remind myself to do is pay attention to the notes that we get from listeners that are like, you guys helped me out a lot during the pandemic and all that stuff. And, like that's important, so I got to acknowledge that those happen. And
we got some of that too. And it does
dude, it's important.
It's very humbling. It's so humbling when someone says, "Hey, I watched you every week." And
you have to keep it personal, because at some point, as you get more successful and like more people find you, it goes from Danielle or Tom or Sean watching, it goes to, a few hundred, a few thousand, it turns into a number. But to go back and remember the individual with the personality that you're interacting with, I think is important. And that's what it's about, whether it's 5 people or 500 or 5,000 or whatever. It's like we're doing something, and you guys certainly have done something where you're connecting with people. And all right, this whole thing's getting a little circle jerky, so I gotta be careful.
I will say, and then we can leave the tissues aside, but your bracket definitely helped me reconnect with a lot of friends to like, I'm like, look at this shit, like, do you believe that someone likes, joy more than split over, whatever the fuck it was. And it would just get us talking and get the conversation going. But yeah, I appreciate all the nice things you're saying. And I love doing the podcast, and I'm glad that people like it. And the thing that I love about it, and we could move on.
Oh, you don't have to leave it. Keep going.
No, it's fine. I like that the guests go at the end of it. When we stop, the guests are like, "Man, that was fun. We should do this again." And I'm like, yes, like that to me
that's the best.
Yeah. So, but we have a lot of great plans coming up for this. We're on like 140 episodes or something, I think. Yeah, It's fucking crazy though.
And you guys do monster episodes too. You go and you're like hour and a half, 2 hours sometimes. Some big
Thank you, Mike.
fucking episodes.
Yeah, I'm reading that and I appreciate it. And this, look, I don't think. I think the good part of, because like everything's got a yin and yang, right? And it's the good part about the mental health part of the pandemic is that now it's okay for people to kind of like be like, hey, I got some dents.
I'm
Like
fucked up in the head.
fucked up and I'm hurting and I'm scared and I'm this and I'm that. And it's like, it doesn't matter. Like we have to be like that. Like you gotta be like that or else you're going to have a heart attack or a stroke or something. Like you gotta be able to kind of own your shit. And it's really cool that people dig that. So,
Well, I will tell you, not to make it about us for a minute, but fuck it, it's our show. I honestly, when people are like, how did wook+ start or whatever, to me, and I don't admit this out publicly that often, it was a support group because we started we actually started before the pandemic and it was okay. We did this little chintzy shit and like whatever. But after that all happened and the fear and the unknown and everything, I felt like, at least I did. I want to speak for these guys. Like we leaned on each other. We started
Spent
having
hours a day on Zooms with each other.
right.
I mean,
And
3 hours,
before
4
we even
hours a day.
broadcast. We would just get on calls together, so as like a support group. And then one day, one of the guys, I think Chad, he's since he moved, but he was like, "This is funny. Like we should fucking broadcast." It's like okay. Right. And when you boil it down, though, what it really was just a group of friends, new friends in this digital setting, supporting each other through a really fucking scary time.
yeah.
And inviting people in that needed support as well. And they supported us and we supported them. And it just turned into this like
We're
support
still
group.
here on season 5.
That's a real thing, man. And it's important. And it's, I guess that's kind of a good thing, right? I mean,
Well, no, and to your point at the beginning, everyone was around. So the guests we got to start, like when we were just doing the pre-shows for the fish shows, we were like, oh, we might as well pretend like we're on the lot and have guests. But I mean, having
5
Tom
guests
a
Marshall
show.
come on, like Tom Marshall coming on was insane. Like, and you guys even getting to talk to you, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like the guests, and it was so accessible. It was great. Like that was the one.
We got
nice
Tom
thing about
Marshall
it.
to come on. Tom Marshall was so bored that he came.
He's been on like 3 times, bro.
yeah, I think I did one of the lot ones too. And I can't remember who else was, maybe
You
Jen
and
Bernstein.
Yeah,
You and OTL once, but it was the first time with Jen Bernstein.
Yeah.
And
I
it was
love
just-
you guys, man. And but this is the thing that like, if you could just escape, that's why we go to concerts. That's why people come see stand-up shows. That's why people listen to all I had during the friggin' pandemic during the day was a walk with my dog, and I'd put in a show and I would listen to what I mean? Like when Fish dropped Sigma Oasis, that was like, thank fucking God. Like I needed that so bad. And those songs, luckily they're all amazing, but it could have been shit. It could have literally been Paige just going, and I would have been like, thank God. But the fact that it was such like it at the timing and at like that early in the pandemic, that shit
It was
dropped.
May 2020.
What was nice
April.
was just the dinner and the movies were nice to have.
Dinner and a
that.
movie, Trey at the Beacon, all that
Yeah.
shit.
Those were great things.
We
to
needed
have
all
to
of it.
just keep our sanity going, and then through that, getting to meet people and forge sort of friendships and bonds, and oh yeah, I know you from this and that kind of thing. It just sort of grew into this wonderful thing. Something good came out of something so scary and awful,
Yes.
which is nice.
Yes, absolutely. We just got to keep it up. So
Exactly. Yeah.
gotta
That's
keep
it.
rocking.
yeah, because these variants ain't going nowhere.
So are you? Can I ask about his other pod, Tim?
Sure, man.
All right, Still Chasing. I discovered
Yeah.
this like 2 weeks ago. I never even knew you did it. You want to talk a little bit about what that was? I know it was a set finite.
Sure. Yeah, I'm gonna be putting that up on my YouTube channel, probably this weekend. I was that 19. I did that 2008.
Yeah, 19, I believe is what it said. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was that? 25 years for me, I think. 95 to
24.
Yeah.
It was coming up on
my 25th year seeing
Yeah.
show. Right. Yeah. So I was kind of looking back on why I still chase moments provided by this band, right? Like what is it about and what I did was kind of look back on my experiences, and then I interviewed some people and we talked about kind of the I kind of tried to make it like chapters in a story of my experience with Fish. And I was able to, it was interesting because I was starting to work on it at the in Vegas. I was doing a week of shows at the Comedy Cellar in Vegas, and there was a Star Trek convention going on, and I was waiting for a coffee, and all these people are checking in to the Star Trek convention, and they're in their like work clothes and they're like, you know, flying pants and shit, but they had a bag full of, you know, their costumes and
Their
stuff.
gear, right?
So they're bumping elbows and pissed at each other and acting like normal idiots, you know, and then they put on their costumes, and the same people are now best friends because they have this collective that they all are geeks for this thing, you know, and they're there to just leave their, you know, suburban life behind and just be, you know, wear a tail and ears or whatever the fuck, you know. So it was awesome because it made me realize, like, oh yeah, this is exactly why we do what we do. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna go to everything. I want to hit the lot before because I want to see the people that are here with me, and I want to I want to see the t-shirts, and I want to see the buttons and the posters and the talk to people and overhear the conversations and like just all of it. So I just thought it was a good opportunity to kind of look back on why, you know, like, why do I chase and why do we chase these moments, you know? And it was a really fun project to do because I got to talk to a lot of cool people. I got to go to shows, and I went to like a whole bunch of shows in 19 and kind of like looked at it from that like analytical perspective more, you know, like I
Put on
younger
your academic
fans,
hat.
newer. I just had a notebook with me at all times and was kind of jotting shit down. I remember starting in Merriweather and kind of just like taking little notes about, like, I was here in 98 and that was right before the Virginia Beach Terrapin show. And I had hitchhiked to that show, and it just kind of like all these memories started jogging. And it was just like, I spent so much time and money and had so many amazing experiences with this band over the past quarter century or whatever, that like, why not do something about it? Because there might be people that have done the same and they might relate, and maybe it reminds them of something. And, you know, and I got to like include my interview with Keezy that I did, and I wouldn't have had that unless I met him at Darien Lake. And, you know, like interviews with my buddies. I carried a little tape recorder to Big Cypress, and we were just like so geeked, and we're just talking into the tape recorder, and I included some of that in it. So it's a little bit of like a soundscape, and it's also I did it with my buddy Mike Shields, who does a podcast on Osiris as well, called Across the Margin. And basically we both kind of just, I laid out the idea to him, and he's great at kind of like taking the idea and sort of like compartmentalizing it and making it into what we did. And we laid music behind it, and it was fun. It was a blast. It was a really exciting thing it kind of gave me an opportunity to sort of put a pin in that and be like, yeah, that was cool. I got to do that many years of shows and got a chance to look back on it and report on it, and the things
you're gonna re-up it to the YouTube.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it on YouTube and just for people to listen to it. You know, I mean, it was
anniversary. That's a smart move.
Yeah, it was a fun thing to do, and it was hard to do too, because it was like it got me nostalgic for old experiences and old friends and all that shit. You know what I mean? But it's yeah, it was cool. It was a good time. I appreciate that you listened to it. I hope you liked it.
I did like it very much. So it made me triggered my memories, you know?
Yeah. And we kind of tried to lay some stuff out there for like the lay person. I wanted to make it accessible to people who maybe didn't even know Fish. So I explained like the first set, the set break, the intermission, you know, like a
primer.
Yeah. But in there I would go like, oh, and here's Paul Glaze, you know, here's, you know, Tom.
So
here's
when
this
you
person.
interviewed
Here's that
Keezy at Darien in 97?
Met him at Darien Lake in 97, and I made a total idiot out of myself. Right. And then he gave me a business card, and I kept in touch with him throughout undergrad.
Oh,
and then for my senior project, I went out and interviewed him on his farm in August of 2001, and he died in November of 2001.
Like the last interview we did.
Perhaps. I believe it was either mine or there's a guy who one of the pranksters, I think, interviewed him for like AARP or something, and we were like right around the same time. But I don't care.
I
one
ate
of the.
I ate a goo ball that night, that afternoon in the lot, and somebody's like, Keezy's over there. Let's go meet him. I was like, fuck that. I'm not going over there.
I went over there and I go, I read Cuckoo's Nest in high school. And he was like, and? You know, like who fucking cares, kid?
He's like, everybody here is read it.
Everybody did. And I'm like, you remember when you were in the Beatles? I felt like Chris Farley. I was like, that was awesome. Remember the acid test? With that, that's awesome.
But you got the card, man. You got the card. So
yeah.
I'm glad to hear you're re-upping it though, and that you're doing the YouTube thing. I think we should you know, not to make any announcements or anything without having talked about it off air, but we should definitely plan on collaborating and keeping this going because we're very, I think, on the same path of content minded. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we work well together, and I would love to have some sort of collaboration going forward.
Not to say this publicly, but I'm going to say it publicly.
Nobody's watching. It's fine. Who gives a fuck?
Do you guys can I throw a little?
Yeah, you're a host. Let's do it.
Have you guys well, first of all, and I apologize, I haven't watched all the episodes leading up, but
that's all right.
Have you talked about this impending MSG thing yet? Have you talked a bunch about it?
Oh yeah, that was probably our most
viral. Have you beat the shit out of it? All right.
No, we haven't beat the shit out of it.
No, we haven't beaten the shit out of it.
I want to ask you guys, do you think it's going to be like, do you have any idea as it relates to like, if there's going to be a theme like the donuts, or if there's going to be like have you given any thought to what you think it might?
Yeah, I mean, we should start off. Hold on. We should start off by saying everything that we say from here on out is speculation.
It's not medical advice.
Right.
Consult your physician.
Not a doctor.
Well, like there was some mix up with like we had sources that confirmed the contract thing, and then people are like, "Oh, are you saying it's fact?" No, anything besides that was just speculation. I personally buy the Sweet 16 idea because I don't think Trey's competitive. I don't think he honestly gives a fuck about hairstyles, but I also think it's funny, and I think he would do it solely for the fact of just because, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a 15 banner. I think the idea of having a 16 banner would be in the wheelhouse of Fish's like comic sense. And I think the idea of doing like the Sweet 16 is a theme based on a number that makes sense. I think that 23 is just a knockoff of the 17 and 17. Like, I don't know. I think that seems more fan derived than actual band derived.
Do you feel like if they do it, do you have any thoughts? Any of you guys have any thoughts on what the donut of it all might be?
Well,
I have a
16
thought.
candles. 16 candles. Mike sings that to open up the first night, and every night there's another candle.
It's just Brat Pack movie soundtracks every night. They do St. Elmo's Fire, Okie Pa St. Elmo's Fire.
I don't know. That's tough though. It's interesting because they never really want to do the same thing twice. So it's kind of one of, and they never do what you think they're gonna do. Like it's always a zig when you think they're gonna zag, and it's always something different. And I don't know. I still think it would be crazy. I don't know, for them to even do it again. I don't know. To go back to the Garden for 16 shows or another long run seems so. Yeah, they did that. Like to your point, like I'd rather them do another festival or something, or split that if it's an MSG contract.
Why
split
not
that
both?
between MSG.
Yeah, that's what I
venues
like.
and
Why not
things.
both?
Why not?
Yeah.
both?
What
if 23 is 19 plus 4 at New Year's?
Okay.
Well, then maybe there would be a 19 theme.
What can you think of that as a 19th theme?
I have no idea, man.
All right, great.
You know what I was thinking? You know what I was thinking would be a potential theme? Well, wait, no, I want to know. Do you have an idea for a potential theme?
Well, there's one other thought we came up with, and I think this was kind of a collective thing, but the albums, if you include Sicket Disc, would be 16. So they could do like backwards down the number line, like either forwards or backwards through the discography, through the catalog. And
I'd be okay with that.
And do each era, because there's enough music to do a set for an album and a set of non-album music and covers, and go in chronological order and have the whole year be a microcosm of the history of the band, ending with a festival for New Year's to be like not big cypress, but like, you know,
Man,
that type of
so-
thing.
I'd be so disappointed if I didn't get Picture and Nectar and I got Big Boot. I would be like, what?
Well, if
the
they do it in
fuck?
You know what
chronological,
shows to
you-
skip. You know what
Right.
shows to skip.
Right.
That's
right.
like so. Like you go to
Well.
like the that I kind of like that a lot. I
and
think
it
that's
ends
neat.
well, then the last one would be the new album, or ends with like the new, like whatever the new one is. That's
And that
right, not
guarantees no-
second disc, but just a
Yeah,
new one.
and then you don't have any repeats, of course. You know what I mean?
And-
So
Everybody
yeah.
skips Big Boat, and then they do a 45-minute jam off of Friends, and you're like, and it's the fucking jam of the year, and everybody's like,
The
oh, you
t-shirt-
never miss
and
a
the-
Big Boat show.
And then the fall tour T-shirt is this still Friends? You know what I was thinking was like I like that idea. That's actually a very interesting thought. What I was thinking too was potential was if they did the Sweet 16 and they did kind of that bracket theme. College basketball brackets have city names, right? So what if they were like, you know, they played songs based on the flavor of the donut. So like, you know, Boston cream, they played Boston, they played cream, they played, you know, strawberry letter, you know, what if they were to do songs based on those cities or like bands that are, you know, like, I don't know. So like a Detroit night, you know, maybe they play some Kiss.
The
Maybe they play
Stooges
some-
or something, or the MC5.
Yeah, you know, I mean,
All
Could
I
be
gotta
something
say is if they do a bracket theme, I want some fucking royalties because there's no way Fish is doing a bracket.
I
and
know.
I'm not part of that shit.
You just like stand outside, like you just go on a 16 night hunger strike.
I'm like, what is this NCAA stealing my gag? The fuck. All right, listen, we're up against it, but I really appreciate you coming on. This has been a really fun conversation. You said earlier, a good sign of a good show is if the guests had fun. Do you have a decent time?
I had a blast, brother. I didn't cough once.
Yeah.
I'm getting over
fast.
COVID, everybody. So yeah,
I have
no.
about a dozen questions left. So next time we can do the second half.
Let's do this again soon. I love you guys, and it would be great to hang out as much as you want. So
I'd love to. This is awesome.
Everybody
in.
like and subscribe and stay tuned. We're going to have a lot more content coming up very soon. I'll see you guys. Thanks, Mike. See you.
Thanks, Mike.
The woman was the dream I had, the rather hard to keep. The woman was the dream I had, though rather hard to keep. For when my eyes were watching hers, they closed. The woman was the dream I had, though rather hard to keep.
Elvis.
For when my eyes
They're all the same.